Hi, this is Tom Salemi of DeviceTalks. We're here at 160 Studios, unpacking some of the critical issues facing medtech. We'll be talking about a lot of it at DeviceTalks Boston on April 30th and May 1st. I'm here with my friend Joe Mullings and my host. Joe, thanks for having me down.
Good to have you here, Tom.
So I want to unpack the state of the medtech CEOs as per the changes we've seen over the last couple of years. So I've got a list here. We've got, over the past 4 years, we've seen changes at Edwards, J&J MedTech, Royal Philips, Zimmer Biomet, GE Healthcare, Cardinal Health, Olympus, Smith & Nephew, and just a short time ago at Baxter. So when I say that aloud, it sounds like a lot. What is your takeaway from all of those changes? What does it say about medtech, and what does it say about what's required to be the CEO of a medtech company?
Look, it's an incredibly dynamic market right now, and if you bookend it 2020, January, February 2020, when we had the whole COVID situation start, I think there was some pent-up frustration or demand on some replacements, but nobody was going to replace a C-suite executive at that time.
Oh, interesting.
But there were some people, I think, that were probably getting pushed towards that cliff edge. So that was one. And then everybody sat in the pocket for the last 4 years, working their way out of the COVID situation, the supply chain. And some CEOs had built-in excuses. As soon as this new administration has come on board now, things seem to be more about performance-based leadership and pure evidence versus showing up and getting a first, second, third place trophy. Regardless of what side of the aisle you're on the administrative, but we clearly have an administration now that's just about, we got the Doge, we have, show me the money. So going through those, look, Edwards, first of all, let's start out. We just had 3 of the best CEOs leave the industry over the last 2 years. You have Mike Mussallem leave, you had Mike Minogue leave, and you had Gary leave, got our friend from Intuitive. So that was really interesting vacuum to get pulled out. I mean, if you still have Lobo left and you have a few others, right? If you just go by pure evidence. But Edwards, so Mussallem leave, Bernard's in right now. He's an internal person. This is also interesting to watch. Bernard's an internal player, 10 years at Edwards. So they've been flat though. They've been flat at like 40 to 41 billion over the last 5 or 6 years. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens there, because you haven't seen their numbers really move at all when others in the market have moved. J&J, that's a different story. So you had Alex Gorski, Ashley, Susan Morano, and Peter Shen all leave. All within about a 5 or 6 month period of each other.
Interesting. I didn't really put that together.
And so I think that was the sort of miscalculation on the end point when you tie Verb and Oris and Ottava, and then it's in the public domain, the lawsuit around Oris. I think that somebody's heads had to be put on the table, and to have 4 executives who were all career J&J people go out the door, that left a pretty large vacuum of that executive leadership at J&J MedTech. So you had that. Olympus, unfortunate move by the CEO, right? Let's just call it violated code of conduct with drug use. Jose Almeida, we talked about this morning. I hope it's not a health issue with him. Very, very sudden, right? And then Cardinal, this is an interesting one. You have Jason Holler replace Kaufman in August of 2022. And what we saw Holler do really intelligently was go after the markets that he should be in and jettison the markets they should not be in. And Cardinal's been performing pretty well there. They've gone up about 120% in value over their stock has. Royal Philips, I don't know where that's going to end up.
Yeah.
You got the $1 billion CPAP settlement. You got Jacob stepped in, but he doubled the market cap since he's been in there, from 12 to 24 billion in the last 3 years. So he's doing a good job, but I think that's a rudderless ship that we don't know where that's going to end up. Of course, you have Zimmer Biomet with Ivan Tornos taking over. Ivan having that courage to move outside of metal and plastic, and that digital solutions he's bringing in, making the customer more than just the physician, the patient, the payer, the provider, across the board. So that'll be interesting to watch as well. Smith & Nephew, this one, I think if you're going to see the drain, something circling around the drain, this will be the first. So you've had 3 CEOs in there. I think, in the last 5.5, 6 years. They've gone from a $20 billion market cap to an $11 billion market cap, and investors are screaming for a breakup there. And you're also seeing that with BD, with that organization. So Poland may be in trouble there as well. So, you know, there's a lot of moving going on. Of course, let's go Medtronic before I forget. You know, Jeff's been giving a good try there, but I think it's just a matter of time. Now that we're in a good public market, the stock market's looking solid, new administration, I think it's okay to have a sea shift change there. And I'm surprised it's taken that long. If I'm an investor or board member, you know, look, this is a pay-for-performance organization. And when you're stacking it up against what the performance has been in, you know, its peer levels, Boston Sci, Intuitive, Stryker, and you're comparing against those, it's a really tough battle going on right now. So I believe in the next first half of 2025, no less than 3 C-level changes out of that list I just covered.
Wow. So what is the common thread, you think, for or element of a successful strategy for a medtech? Is it slimming down, focusing on just those businesses where you're really strong? Is it incorporating more digital technology? What is the path for success? And every company is different, but
I think if you're going to generally see what are the vital few things, we've become such a specialized world, and that also holds true in the med tech. If you're a commodity business, stay in that commodity business. If you're a tech company, get into that high tech business and hire the headcount and the talent that'll take you there. But don't try and build a surgical robot when you're not a surgical robotic company. And even acquiring one could be dangerous, because as we move into the digital domain and you don't have that native inherent talent in the organization, that means culturally you're not a digital company. So unless you absolutely create an entirely separate entity, that's where I think this distraction, where these big strategics are spending probably $5 to $10 billion in their robot programs, when you add it all up, was still not a product to show, or product that is not able to perform beyond what it came out. When you look at like an Oris on their system, right? So out of the gate, Fred delivered a nice product, but they don't have the team in line to keep it going up against an Ion on those ongoing development programs. So you're either a digital company on surgery or you're not, or you're gonna stay in surgery not being digital, so to speak, or you're gonna be in the commodity business. But when you culturally wanna have 10 or 12 presidents across divisions and have all these mix of products, it's really hard to get the same language and the same culture across company lines.
All right, well, that's a great overview of an ongoing situation, and we'll talk about this and more at DeviceTalks Boston. Joe, thank you for your insights.
You got it.